This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Mosaic, a daily news program from Link TV, presents a selection of news reports from independent and state-controlled broadcasters from throughout the Middle East.
The
convoy of the Pakistani Prime Minister Yusuf Raza Gilani was attacked by gunfire in the Pakistani capital of Islamabad. An Al Jazeera correspondent cited a security source saying that the car that Gilani was supposed to be in was hit with 3 bullets. However, security sources revealed that Gilani was not in the targeted car.
Coalition forces crossed from Afghanistan and killed 20 people inside the Pakistani territories in southern Waziristan along the Afghan border. According to security sources, soldiers killed 9 people inside a home in Anbor Ada.
They also kidnapped people from inside the targeted home. The planes then hit 2 nearby homes, killing 10 civilians, including women and children. The attack generated angry demonstrations in which the protesters condemned America and the Afghan government.
Perhaps this is one of the most daring operations. Helicopters came from Afghanistan in the early hours of the morning. The target was a house that locals say was a home for civilians. The result is the killing of all those who were inside, in addition to the other civilians who were killed by the airstrikes that followed the commandos' operation. Political analysts believe that the repeated attacks on tribal areas by forces crossing from Afghanistan will negatively affect the relations between the two countries. These attacks will also negatively affect the relations between Pakistan and the coalition forces. These repeated cross-border operations have become a source of embarrassment for the Pakistani government and army, which believes that it should be the only force permitted to conduct such operations on Pakistani soil. However, it seems that this did not convince the parties that are trying to achieve a quick victory by killing and arresting Al-Qaeda leaders, especially Ayman al-Zawahiri. According to an advisor to the Pakistani Prime Minister, al-Zawahiri was almost caught, but he managed to escape due to the difficult terrain.
I think that this is going to further strain relationships. To begin with, the relations between Afghanistan and the coalition forces are tense. They accuse Pakistan of not doing enough to control the borders, and they carry out cross-border attacks. What happened today is a blatant violation of Pakistani sovereignty. I think that the government will deal with it in a serious manner.
What may increase the embarrassment of Islamabad is the fact that the army has continued its operations in Swat, Bajor, and Warat despite the declared Ramadan ceasefire, which was welcomed by the Taliban.
We welcome the government's announcement of a ceasefire, although we do not know what their intentions are. We have taken this courageous step. A ceasefire will be good for everyone, including the Pakistani army, the Taliban, and the population.
The tense security situation in the tribal areas in Pakistan coincides with equally tense situation in Islamabad. Everyone is anticipating the results of the presidential elections next Saturday. Ahmed Barakat, Al Jazeera, Islamabad.
In Pakistan, Muslims have started the month of Ramadan after the Mufti of Pakistan announced that the crescent moon was seen yesterday.
On this occasion, the Pakistani government announced that it has suspended fighting in the rebel areas in the northwestern part of the country, and that it will allow nearly 300,000 displaced people to return to their devastated homes.
Amidst an atmosphere of joy and happiness, Muslims in Pakistan began the fast of Ramadan on Tuesday, after the Mufti of Pakistan announced on Monday the sighting of the crescent moon in Pakistan.
The members of the Moon Sighting Committee agreed unanimously on the sighting of the month of Ramadan's crescent of the Hijra year 1429. Last Tuesday, September 2nd, was the first day of the great Ramadan month.
The mosques in Pakistan were decorated in preparation to welcome the holy month. In the Faisal Mosque in the capital of Islamabad, worshippers gathered after the night prayer to perform the Taraweeh prayers on the first night of Ramadan. This Ramadan comes at a time when the country suffers from the high cost of food products.
Our living conditions are very difficult. However, God has given us much on this blessed month, and He will help us during these tough times.
Meanwhile, the Pakistani government announced it will suspend fighting in the rebel region in northwestern Pakistan for the occasion of Ramadan. It will allow about 300,000 people who have been displaced due to air raids and battles to take their belongings and return to their devastated homes.
We suspended all our military operations because of the start of the holy month so that we can evacuate and assist the displaced people. However, this does not mean that we will remain silent to those who fire at us.
The Pakistani army warned that any provocation in the area of Pagur or tribal areas near the Afghan borders will be responded to immediately. The spokesman for the Taliban, Malawi Omar, praised the halt in fighting. However, he said that the armed fighters will not lay down their weapons as the government has demanded. This has raised fears that the armed groups will take advantage of this calm period to reorganize themselves.
The race for mayor of Jerusalem is heating up as former Shas leader Arian moves closer to throwing his hat into the ring. Deri, considered to be one of the more charismatic Israeli politicians, resigned as interior minister and retired from public life after being convicted of bribery and breach of trust. Sources close to Deri say that they hope President Shimon Peres will absolve the stain of moral turpitude placed on Deri by the courts. For now, Deri is prevented by law from running for public office for 7 years following his release from prison. And in related news, the latest Dahaf Institute poll released today shows that city council member and high-tech mogul Nir Barkat is the clear frontrunner for the mayor of the capital, with 49% of the vote. Ultra-Orthodox candidate Mayor Porush is second with 31%, and business tycoon Arkady Gaidamak is favored by 15% of the voters polled. And in other political developments, Likud leader Benjamin Netanyahu's ambitious plans to create a dream team of famous personalities and celebrities for his party's Knesset list has encountered furious opposition within his own party. Netanyahu would like to save slots for former IDF generals Moshe Ya'alon, Yossi Peled, and Uzi Dayan, former police chief Asaf Chefetz, former basketball star Tal Brody, and others. But the Likud Knesset faction is furious at Netanyahu's wish to parachute in attractive newcomers at the expense of veteran party legislators. Under mounting party pressure, Netanyahu canceled a planned meeting of the Likud Central Committee, which was to have amended the party regulations, granting Netanyahu increased power to select Likud's Knesset candidates.
Fathi Kuleib, a researcher on Israeli and Palestinian affairs, is our guest in today's show. Fathi, welcome to Eye on Israel. Fear over the growing support for the resistance among Jerusalemite youth has transformed members of the Israeli secret police into a mad mob. It seems that the Israeli police have nothing better to do than to pursue and arrest Palestinian youth in East Jerusalem, and the charges are always the same: fundraising for the support of the resistance. In the latest episode, the offices of Al-Aqsa institution were turned into a training facility for the Israeli police in an attempt to isolate the Palestinians and to erase their national identity. The following report was originally broadcast on the Israeli Channel 10.
God is great, and all praises go to Allah. With our blood and soul, we shall sacrifice for the sake of Al-Aqsa.
At 1 a.m., members of the Israeli police arrived at the mosque in Al-Faham, where the target seemed rather obvious.
The objective of the raid was to close down Al-Aqsa Institution and seize all contents inside its offices.
Several members of the Islamic movement gathered around the mosque. Meanwhile, the police inside seized many files and documents. In addition, a safe was confiscated and carried to a police vehicle. This is how the home of the secretary of Al-Aqsa Institution appeared after the police raid.
They turned the house upside down. They rummaged through clothes, books, and papers under the pretext of searching for documents belonging to Al-Aqsa Institution.
The raid and closure of Al-Aqsa Institution came months after the gathering of intelligence information and after the convening of the Islamic movement's annual conference. The raid also came after some Hamas members were accused of maintaining contacts in East Jerusalem.
They are liars. We don't have relations with Hamas. The institution's money comes from our sons, and it is used to help finance Al-Aqsa Mosque and other holy sites in the State of Israel.
This is how it works. The Islamic movement holds fundraising drives. Then the money is channeled through financial accounts into money-changing institutions in East Jerusalem. Finally, it makes its way to Hamas charity foundations, which in turn distribute it to the various Islamic organizations.
The holy city of Jerusalem is ours. It's our Islamic, Palestinian, and Arab right. The Israeli presence is an occupation presence that will not last. We will not negotiate over this issue.
The previous raid on Al-Aqsa Institution took place in 2002. Then the organization denied all allegations. Meanwhile, leaders from the Islamic movement admitted before the court that no one from the movement has been arrested during this latest raid.
Once again, Jerusalem is being targeted by the Israelis. This time the target is Al-Aqsa Institution. Why are all these raids happening?
يعني القدس منذ نشأة الكيان حتى هذه اللحظة كانت هدف.
Since the foundation of the Israeli entity and up to this hour, Jerusalem has been an Israeli target by and large. This is not the first time. At the end of 2002, the Al-Aqsa Institution was raided under the same pretext, which is the support of Palestinian resistance movements. However, we all know that the Israeli objective and plan for Jerusalem is not limited to the target of Islamic organizations. In the late 1990s, a great Palestinian institution, namely the Orient House, was ordered shut down. The institution showed a great deal of interest in the issue of Jerusalem and its national plight. It seems that the practices of the Al-Aqsa Institution, which include the gathering of evidence and documents of the Israeli violations and diggings under the Al-Aqsa Mosque, are behind this latest Israeli raid in East Jerusalem. The Israelis don't like the practices of the Al-Aqsa Institution. Hence, they decided to send a message of terror to its administrators in order to stop their actions.
In a few hours, years of alienation between Syria and France will end. Tonight, Damascus will be hosting the French President Nicolas Sarkozy, who said that his visit will open a new chapter dear to his heart. Sarkozy's visit, which is the first such visit by a Western leader in years, is yet another step on the road to progress in the relationship between Syria and France. Today, the French president will hold talks with his Syrian counterpart, Bashar al-Assad. On Thursday, the two presidents will be joined by the Prince of Qatar, Sheikh Khalifa bin Hamad Al Thani, and the Turkish Prime Minister, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, whose country is playing as a mediator in the indirect talks between Syria and Israel. We're joined from Damascus with our correspondent, Intisar Yunus. Intisar, what are the main issues to be discussed between al-Assad and Sarkozy?
عن سعد بطبيعة الحال دعيني بداية أضعك في أجواء هذه الزيارة التي ستبدأ عند الساعة 5 مساء هذا اليوم. سيكون جدول الأعمال كالتالي: وصول عند الساعة.
Suad, first let me convey to you the atmosphere in which Sarkozy's visit is expected to take place. The meeting will start at 5 p.m. and the agenda is as follows. The arrival time is set at 5 p.m. Then an official reception will be held at 6 p.m. in the presidential palace, where Sarkozy and al-Assad will hold their first round of talks. As far as the issues are concerned, the bilateral relationship between the two countries is expected to top the agenda. The two leaders will stress the importance of repairing and improving the relationships, as well as ending the period of alienation over the past 5 years. Regarding the regional issues, as far as we know, the Iranian nuclear file will top the agenda. Syria will stress the importance of resolving the Iranian nuclear issue through peaceful means. The Lebanese file is expected to rank second on the agenda, with France urging Syria to restore and improve its relationship with Lebanon, in addition to opening embassies between Syria and Lebanon. Damascus will also discuss with France the peace file and what has been reached in its indirect talks with Tel Aviv. And the Turks will join the two presidents tomorrow. With this, Syria may secure a more active French role in its peace talks with Israel.
Intizar, what is Damascus expecting from Sarkozy regarding its relations with Europe and the West in general, in terms of repairing its relationship with the West?
Suad, France is considered to be Syria's gateway to the Western world and Europe in particular. As you know, Syria has been waiting for years on its partnership agreement with Europe. Perhaps France can play a role in this. In addition, France may pledge economic aid to help boost Syria's economy. Also, Damascus may urge Paris to play a more active role at the political arena in order to help block the U.S. from manipulating world affairs. As I mentioned earlier, Syria will also push for peaceful opportunities towards resolving the Iranian nuclear file.
Thank you, Intizar.
أهلا بكم مجددا. أطلق سراح البروفيسور الفلسطيني سامي العريان بعد 5 أعوام على اعتقاله في ولاية فلوريدا.
5 years after he was arrested in Florida due to his alleged affiliation with the Hamas movement, Sami al-Arian was released from prison. U.S. immigration authorities filed a request with the court to release al-Arian.
ووافقت المحكمة على الطلب بعد أن تم دفع الكفالة المؤجلة منذ.
After his bail, which has been put on hold since July 10th, was paid, al-Arian returned to live with his family after years of detention. The following report highlights al-Arian's journey from the university to U.S. prisons.
إلى السجون الأمريكية في تقرير تالي.
هو واحد من 8 أشخاص تم اعتقالهم في 2 فبراير عام 2003 بتهم تمويل ودعم.
He is one of 8 individuals who were arrested on February 2nd, 2003 on charges of financing and supporting the Palestinian-based Islamic Jihad movement. Then, the U.S. federal authority labeled al-Arian as the head of the Islamic Jihad group in the U.S. Al-Arian has been living in the U.S. since 1975 and worked from 1986 until his arrest as a professor in the computer engineering department at the University of South Florida in Tampa.
الأمريكي السابق جون أشكروفت وصف اعتقاله بالخطوة الكبيرة في حرب واشنطن المعلنة ضد الإرهاب.
Former U.S. Attorney General John Ashcroft described al-Arian's arrest as a large step in Washington's declared war on terror, especially in the issue of financing. Al-Arian has spent most of his life in the U.S. under federal investigation, which ended in his arrest in 2003. He was charged with running a criminal institution and helping to finance the Islamic Jihad since 1984. In addition, al-Arian was accused of raising funds for terrorist networks, conspiring to kill U.S. citizens, blackmail, and perjury. Collectively, these charges constitute a punishment no less than a life sentence. However, al-Arian rejected all the charges and said that he was being punished for his public support of Palestinian rights. Hussein Shahada, Al-Arabiya.
Two million people could face starvation within weeks unless it rains. That's the dire warning from aid groups in Ethiopia as the country is gripped by famine and drought. Aid efforts are also being hampered by conflict. Mohammed Adda reports now from Ethiopia's Somali region of Ogaden.
A food distribution camp in the Somali region of Ethiopia or Ogaden. These are victims of the severe drought gripping this region. The food donations for these people is the difference between life and death. Most have fled their rural areas where the lack of water and pasture decimated their herds. Dahaba Abdullah is a new arrival.
I had 50 head of cattle and more than 100 goats. All died. Not even one remained. We fled for our lives.
Malnutrition among children is also at worrying levels. At the hospital, weak children occupy most beds. Aid officials say the lives of at least 2 million people are at risk unless it rains in the next few weeks. The continuing conflict between government forces and rebels in the region is another reason for the people just not being able to cope anymore. The United Nations humanitarian coordinator, John Holmes, is a witness to the suffering.
Well, obviously it doesn't help if you have a very severe drought and you have a conflict at the same time, and you have restrictions on movement for that reason. A lot of the trade has dried up, and that's one of the problems. The livestock trade has dried up because traders find it difficult to move around freely. They need to move in convoys as well. They probably don't find it commercially worthwhile. That's one of the problems of the pastoralists with their livestock.
Though the farmers' livestock is starting to die in huge numbers, the official emphasis now is saving the lives of people.
Well, this is the most difficult part because the number of livestock are very many. Therefore, it is very difficult to provide pasture, fodder, and water.
Refugees from Somalia have also been trickling into this region, escaping the conflict in their country. They are exerting more pressure on an already desperate situation. These are refugees from Somalia, and they are awaiting to be screened before being given the help they require. They've also been joined by Ethiopians who've been displaced in the famine and drought that is currently wreaking havoc in this region. Due to the suffering of both groups, it's usually difficult to tell the difference between them. With little help coming their way, the Somali refugees say they're fast losing patience.
We came here for help. We've been here for 4 months and we've received nothing. We've been screened several times, but we haven't been given any asylum so far.
For now, the people of Ogaden wait for the rains to fall, hoping they won't fail as they have in the past months. Their shattered lives depend on it. Mohammed Ado, Al Jazeera, Jigjiga, Ethiopia.
A number of Iraqi authors and cultural ministry employees participated in the funeral procession of Kamal al-Shayya, the cultural ministry advisor who was assassinated by unknown gunmen in the middle of Baghdad. Iraqi thinkers and officials participated in the funeral procession of Kamal al-Shayya, who died at the age of 54. The funeral, which was held in Baghdad, started at the headquarters of the cultural ministry. Al-Shayya was a member of the Iraqi Communist Party. Iraqi officials said that Al-Shayya was nominated to become the Prime Minister's advisor on cultural affairs since he was one of the most prominent Iraqi intellectuals who helped revive the Iraqi culture after 2003.
The Culture Ministry advisor, Kamil al-Shia, was assassinated by dark forces. Those who had assassinated him are not unknown. We know them. They are the dark forces. We must pursue these criminals. It is not right. Every time someone is martyred, the case is closed and the perpetrators remain unknown. Any perpetrator must be found. This is a crime against the Iraqi culture. It is a crime against the Iraqi people and the unity of Iraq. They're attacking the unity of Iraq.
The Iraqi Minister of Trade, Abdel Fattah al-Sudani, called for distributing food among Iraqi families during Ramadan. Iraqi and international monitoring organizations, however, responded by saying that corruption is a reality in Iraq and the Iraqi government is unable to confront it. They also said that the Iraqi Ministry of Trade, which has been drowning in corruption and bribery, has harmed Iraqis' feelings and dignity. The Transparency Committee in Iraq issued a statement saying that a half kilogram of flour will be distributed during Ramadan for every citizen, so enough flour will be left for the following months. A copy of that statement was submitted to the United Nations, the World Food Bank, and the Oil for Food program. The monitoring institutions called for holding investigations in cases of stolen food and demanded that responsible Iraqi officials apologize to the Iraqis. This comes as the Iraqi government has $69 billion surplus. The Ministry of Trade has a trade surplus of $7 billion. Every month since 2003, food and supplies have been stolen, although the government imports the worst kind of food products for its people.
نقلت رويترز صوراً تظهر معاناة العائلات المهجرة العائدة إلى مساكنها في بغداد وما تعرضت له منازلها من
Reuters showed images of displaced Iraqi families returning to their homes only to find them sabotaged and robbed by armed groups and militias. Exiled Iraqi families were shocked by what happened to their homes and they do not have enough money to rebuild them.
إعادة إعمارها والسكن فيها من جديد.
May God punish you. May God punish you.
What can I tell you? I do not know what to say. Look what they did to us. We spent 2 million dinars on this home. They tell us to come back. How can we come back?
May God punish them.
Hello, I'm Lana, one of the producers of Mosaic, World News from the Middle East. We are interrupting to ask for your support. We trust that you recognize the importance of Mosaic, but understand that we can take the risks we do because we are viewer-supported. Remember, before there was Mosaic, there was a void, a black hole of information. Some say the lead-up to the war in Iraq was the biggest media failure in America. Lies were reported as truths, and networks became mouthpieces for the administration. One thing is for sure, there was an absence of vital information on the American airwaves, and that's why Link TV created Mosaic almost 7 years ago. Innovative, original, and uncensored reports from the heart of the Middle East, untold stories with unheard voices that filled the information gap. Today, Mosaic is our most acclaimed program, written about, reviewed, and watched by millions. If you count on us, let us count on you. Call 1-866-485-8848. Just as we are viewer-motivated, we are viewer-supported. 88% of our budget comes from you. And right now, today, we need your help to get us through the end of the year. Call the number on your screen or log on to linktv.org and click on the big green support button. And you can count on Mosaic to keep on covering the war, even as it seems to disappear from most other newscasts. And this graph shows U.S. coverage of the war in Iraq has been in decline since January 2007. We think the Iraqis and the troops deserve more than that, don't you? Help us keep their stories alive by supporting Mosaic today. You can either call 1-866-485-8848 or go to our webpage at www.linktv.org and just click on the fundraising thermometer. Then you can make a donation in any amount that's right for you. As you know, Link TV is independent and non-commercial. We won't accept a commercial or government bailout. But editorial freedoms call for independent donations from viewers who know the importance of a free press. Call now and show us your support with a contribution. The number is on your screen, 1-866-485-8848, or log on to linktv.org. Be someone in the know. Be part of a vision without borders. Thank you. Shukran.
Get more news about the Middle East online at linktv.org/mosaic. The Mosaic webpage offers a complete archive of Mosaic programs, program transcripts, the Mosaic video podcast, and the Mosaic Intelligence Report, a weekly analysis of the hottest stories from the Middle East. The views expressed on Mosaic are those of the participating broadcasters, not Link TV or its sponsors. The production of Mosaic is made possible with the support of viewers like you. Thank you. This program was brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only U.S. television network devoted to global and national news, with uncompromising documentaries and diverse cultural programs. Programs which connect you to the world.